Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Eventful day in Dolphins land, but let us start off today with the number one thing before the clock even strikes midnight, and that is, after week one of the NFL season, the New York Jets are in last place. Whoo! Hey, you're probably feeling froggy after that first Aaron Rodgers drive. But it seemed like all the bullets the old man had left in the tank today, as the 49ers have a pretty easily handled game, 32-19 over the New York Jets. Little window dressing there at the end. But nonetheless, with no Christian McCaffrey, the Jets fall to the 49ers 32-19. And their glorious ayahuasca sipping king, Aaron Rodgers, gives them a cool 13-21, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. What a way to honor Joe Namath. I mean, just a tremendous job by A-Rod there. Had a way to go there, Jets. So they're 0-1, and that squarely brings us to a Miami Dolphins statement game coming up this Thursday against the Buffalo Bills. You guys already know this is the actual Achilles heel of the Miami Dolphins. This is the team they cannot seem to handle. Their fans are disgustingly going to take over the elbow room with their just sweat and buffalo wings, bringing all of that and their flaming tables down to South Florida. We already know that's going to be a thing. I mean, hopefully they have some jobs, but I imagine the snow plowing hasn't quite started yet, so I don't know what the rest of them do up there. Meanwhile, they're all going to head down here, try and weasel their way into Fort Lauderdale to try and make some kind of a statement. But it is time for the Miami Dolphins to make a statement against this damn team that has had their number. Josh Allen, he has had the Miami Dolphins in a baby Bjorn since he's walked in the league. 2 losses his entire career. They've both been squeakers as well. And this is the time, this is a Dolphins team that is going into this matchup against a Bills team that has, some suspicions on the defensive side of the football for sure. But also, you feel like you're battle-tested. You've been there. You've had the close games with Buffalo. You've beaten Buffalo under Mike McDaniel. You then last year completely yacked it and gave it up to Buffalo. I think it was one of the first warning signs of the season when you got smoked by them in Buffalo early on in the year. And then, of course, we know what happened the last week of the season. Last week, they go out. They rally to beat the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Allen with 4 total touchdowns, still doing his thing, even with all the weapons there. Mac Hollins with his TikToks is out there going barefooted and scoring touchdowns for the Buffalo Bills. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. And Mike McDaniel today was, I think he was doing the right thing, right? Where he was trying to make the case of the Bills not having the Dolphins number, even though they do. And this goes in line where I know a lot of coaches don't like to say, well, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with last year's team? We have different players on this year's team. No, dude. We know who the main characters are in this story, and they're all involved. They're all part of the show. They've all been there before. So you don't get to run and hide under the guise of it's a new year, because while it is a new year, you can't erase the past scars without doing one thing, which is going out there and beating this damn football team. That is the important thing. And there's already been some gamesmanship. I mean, Alec Ingold today is saying they don't like us. We don't like them. You got Jordan Boyer, who was a Bill through and through. He is now on the Dolphins side of this thing after wanting to be with the Dolphins for basically 2 years. So he's here now. But, Mike McDaniel knows. He's like, I know how bad the fan base wants to beat Buffalo.
I think the 2 teams playing is absolutely one of my favorite things in the National Football League, because you have I think it starts with the fan base. When you know your fan base wants no part of losing to another team, you can feel it in the stadium. You can feel the energy and those stakes. The bottom line is you get into this business for stakes like that.
Yeah, delicious stakes of revenge. That's what you need, dude. You need to make like, if the Dolphins are going to go out there, they're going to make this a different year, right? They made a big deal about beating the Jacksonville Jaguars and saying the team last year would have folded in a game like this. And I don't know if Jacksonville's going to end up being good. I think they're pretty good. I think they're going to be a pretty good team. So I don't think that's a loss, or I don't think that's a win to sneeze at. I think that they can have some pride with it. They showed some guts. They got over some adversity of poor play. They certainly got through some personal adversity with what happened to, three of their very important players before the game with Tyreek Hill, Calais Campbell, and Jonnu Smith. So they had to really find the right headspace. It's kind of a marvel. You read some of the tweets out from Tehran Arms today. It's kind of a marvel they were able to perform the way that they did. But that being said, as nice as it is to go beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, respectfully, they are not the defending division champs for half a decade. And the Dolphins just need to take things into their own hands. They need to make this matter. And they know that there's going to be some adversity that you face, and the Dolphins are already facing some of that with some early injuries on the injury report. You have both of their starting running backs, Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert, dealing with stuff. Devon apparently with a chest, and Raheem with an ankle. And this is a quick turnaround. This is one of those things that's just like, man, when you think about the NFL and you think about one of the worst things that they've done to the league, the Thursday night football every single week was so heinous and so unnecessary. I'll never understand it. I don't understand it. This idea that we got to have that primetime game. It always stinks. It's not a good product. It's always and to boot, it's always a divisional game for the most part. And so it has huge stakes on it all the time. And this idea that you just get these couple of days to really, and it's not really just the preparation, it's more of the recovery. Like, these teams know each other. There's not going to be a lot of surprises, I would say, coming into this matchup in particular. But yeah, it's like you don't get those extra juice days, as we saw with Jalen Ramsey. Like, what if they had to play on a Thursday night to open this? Would he have been able to go? I don't know. And yeah, there'll be some bounce back for it, because then you get 10 days to go to your next game. And so if you're going to do it, I guess do it early. But it's still like you're talking heavy stakes with a game like this, as Mike McDaniel refers to. Here's a little bit more McCoachin.
So it should be really fun football that will be hard earned. It'll definitely be physical, and I think the winning team will have to earn it, and so we'll be in a situation where we're trying to prepare ourselves this week to be that team. And I absolutely know with full conviction that the boys in Buffalo will be doing the same.
It's going to be I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup. I really do. I don't think this is, and like, look, just go get the win. It is one of those where you got to find a way to beat 17 some way, somehow. You got to be able to bring him down. It's going to be interesting having the first matchup without Christian Wilkins, because he was just such a nemesis of his with all of the extra poking and prodding and towel snatching and grabbing that he would bring to Josh Allen. Now, you're led by Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer and what they're going to bring to the table. I can't wait for it, man. And especially with it feeling very much like, hey, it's not only a statement, but it does feel like, with the Jets losing right out of the bat, you win this game, and yeah, it's hard not to feel like, all right, driver's seat for the division. And I know the ultimate skeptic rightfully will say, hey, the Dolphins were in the driver's seat with extra leg room in last season's run, and they still got into a fender bender. I get you. Fender bender's probably putting it lightly. They drove off a cliff, but this thing definitely matters a lot. Like I can't stress it. I'm not putting it a must win. Like, I'm badgered by my co-host Leroy. He's like, we'll call it a must win. Is it a must win? I'm like, it's not a must win. It's ridiculous to say that if the Dolphins fell to 1-1 that they'd be screwed. But I think it says a lot. I think this game says a lot about this Dolphins team in the additions they've made, in the investments they've made, and especially with Buffalo kind of feeling not necessarily like they're punting, because when you have their quarterback, you don't really punt. But this is about as, easing on the brakes as much as you could have. And so if you're going to make a move on the track, if you're going to pull past them, probably the bad analogy to use for the week. This is the week to do it. This is the season to do it. And this is where you got to make your stand at home on prime time. And it all is going to feel pretty massive if the Dolphins get done. And if the Bills win, they're going to run out of here laughing like little hyenas, because once again, the cute little Dolphins with their track stars couldn't get it done, and they're not going to take the Dolphins serious. And I don't think there's a right for them to. You cannot be peacocking and barking all this time and you just can't get over your divisional foe. This isn't a matter of just, hey, can the Dolphins beat winning teams? Can the Dolphins win in January? I don't know. We'll find all of that out. We have a hell of a road schedule at the end of this thing that are going to prove all those things for the Dolphins. We think that the Dolphins will be in playoff contention and will have those chances. But this is the first test. Like, this is the juice right here. And any Dolphin fan who's minimizing it or not making it a big deal, you're lying to yourself, dude. You're just lying to yourself. And, I could even take the Dolphins showing well, having a competitive game. Certainly not a stinker like the Jets put up today. But I do think this is a very, very important game to go win and to show that this year is going to be different. Just on them to go do it.